Conscious Straight Talk with Katie and Lindsey.
Hi, my name is Katie Hutchinson, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm also a certified mediator, and we're so happy to have you guys here on Wednesday, Hump Day. I have no idea what the date is. Cinco de Mayo's tomorrow, right? So it's going to be the
Tomorrow.
4th?
It's the 4th today.
It's the 4th. Hi.
And I'm Lindsey Kearns. I'm the mama behind MalibuMamaLoves.com. And I'm also a certified conscious trauma-informed life coach. Mm-hmm. Today, we have a show for you that is all about the number one reason why people stay or return to extremely abusive and toxic relationships.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about domestic violence, most of us think of emotional, physical, sexual abuse. We rarely talk about financial or fiduciary abuse, and it is so insidious. It happens in about 99% of domestic violence relationships, and it's happening in over 70% of elderly abuse situations are fiduciary. Yep. So it is something that is so toxic and so insidious. And lots of times you don't even know that it's happening.
That's what's the worst part about it is.
Yes.
So financial abuse is really the control of one's ability to acquire, use, and maintain money by an intimate partner or even a parental figure, which causes a really unique form of dependency between the abuser and the victim. It's so silent and slow that most people don't know what's happening. And the worst of it is that 9 times out of 10, it's legal.
Mm-hmm. So why aren't we talking about this?
For starters, 78% of Americans don't even acknowledge this as a type of abuse. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge
problem because it's a major type of abuse.
It is. It's so subtle and slow, and it's always accompanied with that, oh, this is just how relationships are supposed to be stigma, which we've both heard 1,000 million times over, right? The shame of it is what keeps us in this relationship and keeps us silent.
And just not knowing. Right. I mean, I've been in past relationships where they were like, I'll do all the bills. And I was like, great. And then you have no idea.
Also, because that carries some shame. Like, you don't want to go out and admit and be like, oh, I don't actually know what
I have no clue what our utilities are.
I don't know if I can pay right now for our dinner or whatever. But, and then that's that shame that keeps us silent.
It's a little embarrassing.
We don't want to talk about it.
Exactly.
The diminished self-esteem that happens from it, that keeps us in these relationships. And it's that fear of not knowing, of not being able to be without that person that keeps us running back.
And can we go to the grocery store and buy groceries? Yeah. So financial abuse is so manipulative. I'm just like most forms of abuse, right? Yeah. The abuser uses so many different tactics to control their victim. Yeah. It may start with encouraging you to quit your job. You don't even work. Just stay home. Take care of the kids. A way to have control over you, right? Yep. Then they offer you an allowance. Oh, look at this great allowance, blah, blah, blah. And then if you don't do what they want, lots of times they'll withhold some of this allowance. You didn't pick up my dry cleaning, so that's $20 deducted from this week. And then it usually gets worse and worse. Yeah. They cut your access to bank accounts. They can cut you off of them, credit cards, utilities, phone and internet and all of that. And they reassure you like, oh, you shouldn't have to be dealing with this, kind of making you feel not very bright. Yeah. And I know that happened to me where I was like, actually, I sort of enjoyed not having to deal with it. But then later I was like, well, what was I thinking? I had no clue what was going on.
And everyone warns you that all along the way. And you're like, no,
it's easy to
just trust them because they're that good at what they do, at tricking people. They suddenly are in complete control of all the money. Everything. All decisions are made without you, and suddenly you're left feeling like basically you don't have any choices. You have to act a certain way, do a certain thing, see a certain person at a certain time, or you don't get anything. And it's really hard. They make you do all kinds of things to control you with the money.
The sad fact is that 53% of these victims lose their job because of their abuser. So the abuser will call 100 times. They might talk to your superiors and say, oh, she's a loser, or she beats our kids, or she's depressed, or whatever else. They text you 1,000,000 times. And then if you don't get back to them, they scream and yell and freak out at you. You know what I mean? So 59% of people that experience fiduciary abuse have their credit ruined. I know this happened to me in the past. Yep. 53% of these victims lose their job because of the abuser, i.e. calling you 1,000,000 times and making your life, or they'll hide your keys so you can't get to work, whatever. 70% simply were not allowed to have a job at all. I wish people would stick up for themselves more, but they're in the cycle of abuse. So.
Well, and that's like what we were saying before when they lose their jobs, right? They're not allowed to get another one. You think, oh, how can you be allowed? Well, it's not really about the allowance. It's about the fact that, not allowance with money, but them allowing you to get the job. It's about the fact that they're controlling you.
And you're afraid to upset them.
Well, they're going to harass your boss. They're going to harass everybody that's in the workplace for you. So it's like opening up a whole nother avenue for this person to hurt you.
Yeah. And then 1 in 10 people over 65 years old have experienced fiduciary abuse.
Yeah.
And that makes goes a lot of sense.
The 70% of people who report elder abuse, 70% of them, it's financial abuse. It's too much.
It's financial, physical, and some sexual. It's really sucks.
This is affecting way too many people, and we have to talk about these things more. Financial abuse gets in there, and it really makes it difficult for the person to establish any form of independence or long-term stability, right? And mentally and emotionally, it just drains you. And this is why so many people keep returning to these toxic relationships.
The key is to get out and get help. You need therapy. You need to talk to somebody that you can totally trust that isn't going to use this later down the line against you. You need to start to recognize what's going on financially in your home. Like learn the facts. You know what I mean?
And it's hard.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So, So
and I mean, it affects so many people. Like, let's think about this. And we always use this example when we're saying 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men are victim to domestic violence. 99% of them, 99% of them are being financially abused. That is so many people. So as we say, when you're out and about in the movie theater, at the restaurant, out with friends, at an event, a lot of people in there are suffering.
I don't know about you, but I've had a number of friends when we're out to lunch or whatever, and they're like, I need to use cash. I can't use my credit card because my husband or boyfriend will see it. And it's like, oh, that's a red flag. Now, I wouldn't say anything.
Right.
Unless they said to me, is this normal? And then I'd say no.
That's the issue because, we don't want to say or make the other person feel uncomfortable because it already is uncomfortable anyway.
And they have to be ready to hear it.
But they may not. They do have to be ready. I agree with that.
If they're not ready, there's no point.
And they may not understand, that's not normal. That's not okay. You don't have to live that way.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why we talk about these things on this show, because we're hoping to normalize this stuff, to be able to say, whoa, that's not cool. I don't want to live that way. And either set your boundaries or take a hike.
I think it's best that, we'll see. Okay. So signs are, like we said, interfering with your work. Constant criticism, like maybe you're just not made out to work. You're just not good at that.
Like the pressures to quit.
Yeah, you're really good at keeping the house
either the pressure
clean.
To quit or the pressure of you have to go make money for me or I'm not going to be happy with
I have seen numerous times.
Yeah, a lot.
So constant criticism. Setting limitations on where you can
that's
work.
Always the best when it's like, you have to go and work and I need all of your money. If you don't do that, I'm not going to be happy. And by the way, you can only work in this one place.
Yes, I'm working on a business that's going to be just huge and then nothing ever happens.
And then they'll turn around and they sabotage all your responsibilities. They'll hide your keys. They'll hide your notes. They'll disassemble your car so it suddenly doesn't work for days, but they have no clue what happened.
They talk to your coworkers, they insult you, they accuse you of things.
They'll constantly be texting or calling you at work or calling the work phone. Can I speak to Lindsey Kearns? Can I speak to Lindsey Kearns?
Which does not look good. And then if you don't answer them back, they freak out at you and scream at you. So
the world is ending.
Yes, exactly.
So those are all very big signs. If any of you guys are experiencing that, those are early signs, red flags of financial abuse.
And if you do,
what's coming down the pike is going to be
worse. But if you do work, then most of the time they expect you to hand over your paycheck to them. So then you still don't have any money.
And this is where we step into the controlling of money. This is when they start to offer you an allowance or they need you to give them an allowance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think they just take it usually.
Yeah, that's true. They do just take
they
it.
Don't really
controlling. They want to control all your money, everything.
Yeah.
Demanding your paycheck immediately. I'll take care of the bills. You don't have to do anything. Half the time, they're not even paying the bills. They take the money and do something else.
This happened to me in my last marriage. I found a huge, hefty trash bag filled with bills that weren't paid. Literally filled. So, anyways,
That's financial abuse because they've been telling you I'm paying them.
I know. Right? I had no clue. Okay, so controlling your money, removing your access to funds, like we talked about before, maybe taking your credit cards away, taking your ATM cards, taking you off of accounts without you letting.
And ruining your credit.
Maxing out your credit cards, asking for you to take loans.
Ruining your credit history.
Claiming to make payments, like this big bag in the hefty bag where I was told that everything was getting paid, but nothing was getting paid. So claiming to make payments when they're not, ruining your credit history, which is a bit of a problem.
They'll threaten to lie to your other officials, to maybe have your license removed.
You mean like the IRS
or the
like
IRS be audited.
Yeah.
They threaten you with that all the time. If you don't do this, if you don't give me the money, I'm going to go screw this up for you. So the threats can
You're going to lose your license. Like for
really
me, I'm going to report you to the Board of Behavioral Sciences. Yeah. You're going to lose your license. Oh, great. That's wonderful.
And they're just slowly removing all of your financial freedom.
They're ruining your credit history, expecting you to pay all of their bills. They threaten to lie to officials, removing your freedom so that you're completely dependent on them, and making you account for every penny. And I will say I've seen this over and over again, where the financial abuser will go through every single day the checkbook and the credit card statements and every single day and making you
to see what cash is
and
in there.
making you account for every penny. If you have to account for every penny, there's a problem.
Well, and half the time they're doing that to catch you up, right? They want to see if they can find some little purchase you made, something that you did that you weren't supposed to do.
They want to catch you. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And that's where they always have a double standard. They can go spend and do whatever they want. But the minute you even buy milk or groceries or something that's like a basic for the house, it's World War III.
And one thing that I always do with my clients is I always say, hey, let's set a limit, okay, depending on what your finances are. Let's say for you to $300 is at the point where you need to go and talk to your partner before you spend this $300 or $500 or whatever it is. You talk to your partner. You don't just go spend the $300 or the $500 or whatever it is before you check with your partner. And we all agree on this. And then we all follow the rules, hopefully. It's a really big one.
No, it's true. They'll start evading child support. They won't pay your child support.
Is a fun one.
A lot of women deal with this. They won't pay for like a couple of months just to hold it over your head and get you to control you.
They take things out. They just say, there's water polo, there's this, there's that. And they just create a list that doesn't even exist and stop giving you what you're owed.
They may refuse to work. They'll force you to sign all kinds of financial documents, but never let you read them. Ever.
Well, that's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's a fun one.
And the worst thing is, you guys, financial abuse for sure, 100%, there's no doubt about this. It is not something that is going to get better with time, right?
It escalates
and leads to
without help.
Once they know they have you under their control, it'll go to the next step, right? Because that suddenly won't be enough for that person.
Well, the only time they're going to change is when they're about to lose you, and even then, there's no guarantee.
So you really need to listen to your intuition. If any of these red flags, because these were all major red flags in relationships, if any of these things sound familiar, it's time to reach out to get some help, to educate yourself, right?
Make sure that you don't have a large, hefty trash bag in your garage that's filled with bills that aren't paid. That's a bit of a bummer.
Right?
Exactly.
And to look around and to learn. And there's so many resources out there that, that can help. Therapy is one of the biggest ones. You start to learn how to control your own finances and take that control back slowly, or get yourself out of that situation.
Right. And when an elderly person comes into my office that is being financially abused, I'm a mandated reporter. So I do report to the elderly services. I can't remember what the name is. And so they are supposed to check these things out. Does anything happen?
But most of the time, they don't get caught. Or even when they are caught, they find a legal way, loophole way to get out of it.
Well, we just went through a huge thing with my father where he lost hundreds of thousands of dollars with Dean Witter. And coming up against, we had a good lawyer, but we're coming up against Dean Witter that has 5 billion lawyers. And they totally took advantage of my dad. They just totally screwed him over.
And I'm sure he's just one of many.
And we fought and we just won nothing. It was just pathetic, and it was so bad.
But that's
what
why I
they
was
did
saying
to
at the
him.
beginning of the show, oftentimes it's legal. They have loopholes. They know how to get
Well,
around
they know how
this.
to get it, especially financial institutions.
Yeah, it's
So-
scary. So protect yourself, you guys. Reach out,
Yeah.
leave a comment, talk to
Yes,
us. We're here to talk.
us. Let's
Therapy.
talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back here on Friday. We're going to talk about spiritual abuse. That's another one that really isn't often talked about or really heard of, but
Oh, that's
it's
a good
significant.
one.
Yeah.
Good one. I like that.
So, all right, you guys have a great
Yes.
day. Stay safe out
Happy
there.
Wednesday. Bye.